What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Jimmy James 59, and every time it happens where I'm about to put out a video telling y'all something, somebody comes along. The devs, they must. I think I truly believe that Microsoft has a chip implanted in my brain. Maybe they out there, maybe they watching me. Cause your boy Jim Stradamus, every time he's about to drop a video making a baseless prediction, because I have no inside knowledge, of course. Just the grand brain and wisdom of my many collected years, minutes, and the etc. As soon as I'm about to do it, something comes out. So I got to get out ahead of this one, folks. Because I've been trying to put out a video about Return of Rome DLC, kind of trying to space it out. I like to space out my videos. You know, it's just the way I am. I don't like to be that guy that's always calling. Everybody's got their friend who's you want to go get dinner? You're like, oh, sure, yeah, that was cool. And they're calling you the next day. And they're like, you want to go bowling? You're like, yeah, all right. We just went out yesterday, but that sounds kind of cool. And then the next day comes, and it's like during the week. It'll be like on a Tuesday. And they're calling you up. You go out Tuesday night, Wednesday night. They're calling you Thursday morning. They're like, hey, what are you up to? Like, I don't know. What are you doing? I guess I'm at work, man. It's like, you want a brunch? I'm like, brunch? Bro, it's Thursday. I don't even think brunch exists in the space-time continuum. Outside of Sunday, maybe Saturday, unless possibly you're at the beach on vacation. But Thursday morning? During the work week? But it's that guy. Anyways, this is my long-winded way of saying I don't want to be that guy as a YouTube equivalent, so I like to space on my videos. Now, fortunately, in some ways, I'm glad I space things out. Sometimes I like to take a little bit of time, read them, read the coffee grinds, you know what I mean? Kind of see what's coming. Jim Stradamus wasn't built in a day, and Rome was not built in a day, and also won't apparently be coming to Age of Empires 2 multiplayer in a day. However, it will be coming, and by it I mean the Roman civilization will be playable on the Age of Empires 2 multiplayer at some point in the future. Now, I thought this would happen for basically the main reason is that I think the developers are really taking in our feedback. And it's actually one of the reasons why I do my channel. Because I think they take our feedback into consideration. We saw that with the April preview update where it said like the Chinese start was going to be changed. People didn't like it, so they didn't do it. We saw that all these infantry buffs were coming down and the infantry unique units were kind of getting left behind. So people were like, hey, maybe we could do something about that. The devs did it. Well, with Return of Rome and the announcement that the Romans would not be playable on the ranked ladder for multiplayer, that felt really strange to me. It just doesn't seem like a good money making opportunity. And the video that I was going to put out instead of this one was going to be the one telling y'all that even though that's the case, not to worry, because at some point in the future they probably would. They probably just see it as a civ that has a lot of odd bonuses and things like that, and they kind of just want to, give it a little bit of run. And I think that's the case. And now that the people that do have access to the new DLC, fortunately we're not one of them. Definitely subscribe to the channel, right? If you want Jim Stradamus to have the kind of access to these things, and you can get my perspective on it, of course. But all that being said, we're starting to see what the Roman civilization is going to look like. People that are playing it. I think you could check out, like those people that have it. People like, Hera Viper, the big pros, but also shout out to guys like Ornlu. Shout out to guys like Morley Games. You know, those guys are they've got access and yeah, and so they're able to showcase some things. But it does sound like the Romans are going to be more of like an infantry and cavalry civilization, which I think makes a lot of sense. I would kind of like to see them have good skirmishers as well. They also seem like a naval civilization, which is pretty interesting, and I do think tracks, based on what I do know of some of the history of Western Rome. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting civ. I kind of like the feel of it so far. Really like a melee civilization that's gonna jump in there. But it sounds cool, and I'll be really excited. I will definitely on this channel play with them probably a little bit when they're available in the unranked. But I will be honest, I'm probably not going to play with them that much because, again, Jim Stradamus is going to tell y'all that I think there's actually have to be quite a few changes to make them, just from like looking at what some other people are doing and the tech trees and all that. I think there's gonna have to be quite a bit of changes to where they're a bit more balanced in the on the ladder. I think we're gonna see some changes. I think their navy could be a little bit overpowered early. It's a tough thing to do with the Romans, because I think that the spirit of them is they want them to be, by they I mean the developers, want them to be strong early, but maybe kind of fall off in the late game, and that's hard to do and have them still be kind of, and then but also have this to be playable in the late game. So it's a tough thing, and I think they're gonna have to try and figure out how they want to balance that. And that's a dynamic I've thought about for other reasons over the latest over the last few weeks, yeah, I think that's going to be they got an interesting challenge on their hands, and the tough part about that is making a civ strong early is that things in Age of Empires 2 tend to kind of snowball, and where early advantages beget even bigger advantages later on in games. That's tough, man. That's tough. So I think with that, right, I'll tell you all that I think that the Romans are going to get some changes over the as we kind of observe them. Now, I wouldn't want to end this video, since everybody keeps getting out ahead of me on things. I wouldn't want to end this video without even getting some other predictions about the future. You could call this Jim Stradamus bonus content, if you can. You could call it that. You can. So let me say just a couple other things, since the devs keep beating me to the punch, and think about, well, what's going to come next, and what might even be in this Return of Rome DLC, right? Because there might be a balanced change to go along with it, and I'll tell you what I think. There's two things that I think are going to happen. One, I think that the monk meta has become kind of dominant, and it really wouldn't surprise me if there's a change to the RNG in some way for conversions. We saw this maybe quite a few patches ago with Light Cav, where they raised the sort of minimum time it would take to convert them. I could see something like that happening. Something small. I'm not saying monks are overpowered or anything, but I just think that there's a little bit too much variability with conversions, and it would not surprise me to see the conversion variability get normalized just a bit. The other thing I think that we're going to see is, I think we're going to see some changes to Arabia. I think that, Arabia is the map that's played the most, and I think that people have figured out a lot of things on it, especially when it comes to things like luring deer. But not just that. I think finding your sheep and your boar/elephant, I think all of that Would not surprise me at all if Arabia gets some changes. I could even see them, and this is kind of me thinking about how Age of Empires 2 differs from, maybe in other RTS. I could see the Arabia map generations being less symmetrical for players, especially in 1v1s, where on Arabia right now you kind of know, right? If you have a certain kind of map, what your opponent has. Now, there's some balance reasons for that. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. I could just see there being a little bit more variation. Um, I would not surprise me if the deer are going to be pushed back further away from the TC to really make it difficult to lure all of them. It would not surprise me to see the clusters of sheep and the boar, elephant, or whatever they are, maybe pushed a little bit further or dispersed a bit more. I'm just telling you, my basic prediction here is I think we're going to see some changes to Arabia. Arabia is a map that has, even in the time of DE, has not been immune to changes. It was a lot more closed for a time, then it became more open. It was not as hilly, then it was really, it's been a little all over the place. I don't think it's bad to kind of have different versions. But yeah, I think we see some changes to the Arabia map. But those are my two kind of big predictions right now at this point. So with that being said, right, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. This has been a little bit more meandering, so I hope you enjoy the music in the background. And I hope that we're all able to enjoy some Return of Rome when it comes out. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead, man. I want to jump off here. I have more videos in the queue. Hopefully some content that the developers, won't be looking in my mind to steal. Do a little bit of that, that mind thievery, and I call it, I got it. There's sometimes people want what's in your brain. It's a lot of science fiction about that, but sometimes science fiction is anything but. I'll leave you to ponder that, and hopefully, right, check you guys out. See y'all out there in the ladder here pretty soon. All right, peace.